Thank you so much, Ondiro. Now, welcome to the segment of the show that gives you, our viewers, an opportunity of sharing your comments and your thoughts. Now, this week we're talking about the COVID-19 in the country. It's been 7 months, 7 whole months since our first case was reported. Now, the Ministry of Health gave certain protocols to be observed. Are we observing them? Let's take a look. Our first tweet at LA Kavuka says, "No one else is hosting large gatherings other than politicians. Yet, we will be blamed as usual, and tough measures enforced target at local man, making our lives more difficult." Now, when the first wave came, everyone was unaware, including the politicians. Now that there is the possibility of a second wave, none of the politicians will be caught unaware because they're ready. Now, the local man will be given measures that probably will make their lives worse than it already is. Now, a majority of us Kenyans, the local ones, obviously, we've depleted some of our resources, majorly financial resources. So if the second wave comes, my brothers and sisters, we are in for a very, very long ride. Now, Oliver Madenge says, "We can't keep blaming young people for the upsurge in COVID-19 cases in Kenya, and yet politicians are holding rallies all over the place." He talks about politicians again. And for me, I think Kenyans, Kagwe says the responsibility lies on us as Kenyans. And he further says that he has never seen politicians going to empty stadiums or empty stadia and making political rallies. They go because people are attracted to them. If you don't go, will they hold the rallies? I highly doubt that. At Achest Kenya says, "The nation was optimistic about reopening of schools. The question is, was the government and schools prepared to ensure students and teachers' safety?" We've seen in Mombasa 2 schools already are shut down. Why? Because they have attracted the COVID-19 virus. Now, from my end, I think the government was too quick. And remember, these 2 schools are high schools. So what about, because high schools are thought to be people who are a little bit mature. What about primary schools, the grade 4, class 8? Are they going to survive now that there is an upsurge that is coming back into the country? I highly doubt. At Nelson Gichuki KE says, "Yes, we can defeat COVID-19 if we follow the guidelines and the protocols set aside by the Ministry of Health and the WHO. We can defeat it. It's not gonna last forever." Now, a couple of us, if you go to Nairobi, the CBD, majority of the people there are kind of ignoring the social distancing aspect, the social distancing factor. Now, if go away from Nairobi, because down in the villages, they don't even wear masks. Over there, they tell you, "Corona ni ugonjwa ya Nairobi." No, it's not, my brothers and sisters. It's not. It's everywhere. And it's up to us to take responsibilities of our own health. Now, let's cross over to WhatsApp, where Vincent Ayaba says, "We masked, they did not. We social distance, they did not. We washed hands, they sanitized. Now we are out of water, out of soap. We can't stay home any longer. We have cried for relief so as to plan and resume schools when the curve flattens. They said it's okay. Now here we are, COVID-19, COVID in schools, BBI in the streets." He's talking about a lot of things. I think he has generalized everything that normal Kenyans are going through right now. Like I mentioned before, a lot of us have depleted some of our resources and financial resources to be particular. And if a second wave comes, I don't think our politicians have protected us enough. They've held rallies, we've gone. It's us to make sure that at the end of the day, we protect our own. Another WhatsApp from Maonga, he says, "Corona is there, just that it has been magnified by the government." Now, this is a conversation that a lot of people, if you go mostly in the villages, like I mentioned, they say COVID-19 is a disease of Nairobi. But is it? Because right now we're seeing infections outside of Nairobi County. So it means this is something that Our leaders and the devolved system of government should make sure that those who are down there are well equipped with the knowledge about COVID-19, or else the second wave is going to hit, and it's going to hit hard. Let's cross over to the streets and find out what exactly people there think. I'm in the middle of Nairobi CBD, where I'm trying to find out whether Kenyans are taking care of themselves. Now, there is a possibility of a second wave of infections of COVID-19 virus, and the Ministry of Health gave certain protocols: social distancing, hand washing, and wearing of masks. But are they making sure or ensuring that these protocols are followed?
They're just forgetting too soon. Yes. Since this pandemic started, it is 6 months down the line. But we were told we will be staying with it. Even if you can look around, people have forgotten wearing of masks. People are still converging.
Ni kama watu wanaona ati hii ugonjwa ya corona, yani watu wanaona si real kitu kaa hiyo. Sasa wanaona tu wanachezwa kitu kaa hiyo. Sasa ni kama hawajaichukua serious.
When the president relaxed the rules a little bit last month, people went back into what they knew best. They went back into their work, they went back into their social gatherings, and they went back into what they knew. The reason why these people are going back to doing everything the way they're supposed to do, as if things are normal, simply because of one thing. When you look at case fatality ratio, it does not add up. If Kenya loses about 4,000 people every year as a result of an accident, we are just into about 800 deaths with coronavirus in the last 7 months or so. Then you're looking at a possibility of saying, how many people has to die for coronavirus conditions to keep on being stringent or not?
Hii kitu itatumaliza. Hii kitu nafayanze with our leaders manze. Hizi political rally. Hizi political rally zinafaa at least hata wapunguze. Juu atuzingatie hiyo social distance. Another thing, tumepuuza kuvaa mask in appropriate way. Kufollow rules is not something that sisi human beings like. Napenda. So mimi naona yani ni kama yani wanafeel ni kama kuna freedom fulani wamekaziwa. Naona so like una breathe like you have to wear a mask, and then sasa hiyo kupumua na mask pia ni shida. So mimi naona ni kama ni sasa imefika mahali human beings ni kama pia watu wamechoka.
Life is more expensive than the business. We can lose, if you lose life, you cannot claim it back. Or, it cannot come back again. But business can, later in like 2-3 years, it can peak. And then, you continue with your business.
Nafaa sisi youth to educate watu kuhusu coronavirus, because I'm quite sure kuna mitongoji zingine bado hajapata the full information about coronavirus.
There is an element of ignorance. You find even politicians being in meeting, they don't have, they are not wearing, mask. So is other business. I think people are following the business, the politicians. But you see, it is individual problem. If I'm affected, it's me to die, not the whole community. So it will depend with individuals. Know that this is your problem. Take care of yourself, not the country as a whole.
If a second wave comes, we should not close the country. Let the government use the COVID money that was donated from the international community and from goodwill Kenyans who gave a lot of billions. Let them buy testing kits for every dispensary in this country, so that we can walk to an hospital and be tested of COVID-19. If you are found to have spells of COVID-19, you are treated within the community, and then you go on with your own life.
Now, from the conversations that we've had with the majority of Kenyans, we are becoming comfortable and ignoring some of the COVID-19 protocols that were put in place by the Ministry of Health. On top of that, we have had misleading information that is out there concerning the virus. At the same time, people are conflicted on whether to go on a lockdown or continue with our normal lives in case of a second wave of infection. For Metropole Debrief, I'm Vincent Odhiambo.
Thank you, Vincent, for those insights from the streets. We have time now for one more thing, and that is debrief take home. Now, just like last week, man, there isn't much to say. I mean, you already know what you should do. You should wear your mask, keep social distance, wash your hands. You already know what you're supposed to do. If you choose to ignore and the second wave comes, it would be our own undoing, or rather it will be our own doing when we begin being sick, overwhelming our health systems, which is happening, and not being able to bear the disease burden. But again, remind them, even if they know, 2 cases, United States of America and New Zealand. In the US, there's democracy, there's ignorance amongst the people, and there's arrogance in the leadership. And coronavirus made its way to the White House. Donald Trump, together with his entire White House staff, contracted COVID-19. Even his press secretary, his wife, his son. That is the magnitude of what ignorance and arrogance can do. New Zealand, on the other hand, the only country in the world to 2 times have been declared COVID-19 free. And it's because swift response, they adhere to the rules and regulations and do everything humanly possible to keep the virus out of their borders. China, where the virus began, swift response and discipline from the masses. It's not rocket science. We know what we should do. Question is, will we do it? Keep talking to us on Metropole TV, on Twitter at Ndiro Ganga at Metropole TV KE, or you can use the hashtag Metropole Debrief, or send us an email, metropoletv@metropole.co.ke. We'll see you again another time.